Hi, my name's Skata Bob, and I'm with Bud Osborn, and I met Bud about a year ago at our organization called Too Far, and he has an interesting background, so I thought I'd interview Bud, and he can tell us about his life story and the inspiration that his life story has for all of us. Bud, let's start out with where you're born and where you're raised.
Born and raised in St. Petersburg. My father even was raised there.
And your early upbringings, were you from a wealthy family, middle class?
No, we were very destitute. Can of soup was split 4 ways. That was dinner many times.
Did that have an impact on your life, the fact that you were living almost hand in mouth?
Of course, you want to get out of that kind of environment. You want to grow and go somewhere. And you're not going to do it if you don't have the ability to reach out and tag something and grab it and use it.
So that in itself, did it give you any drive or for the future in your life?
Oh yeah, but once you had that, then you go to the next step because you had success. You go to the next step because you had success.
So what was your very first job?
Shining shoes in front of a newspaper stand.
Really? And what did you charge for shining shoes?
A dime.
10 cents?
Right.
And I bet you gave a good shine too, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
And you had repeat customers?
Oh, that was my whole game.
Yeah, repeat customers. I bet that didn't change your whole life, repeat customers.
Oh, any business you're in, that's the case.
Yeah.
Whether it's real estate or selling cars, you name it.
So what was your next major success in life, would you say, as an early age?
When I was in high school, I started a business. There was a need in the town for things for kids to do. And at the time, Bandstand was on TV. And basically it was a hall and somebody played music and kids danced. And I thought I could put one of those up. I could make some money that summer. And I didn't have any money to get going with, but I went to the guy that owned the building and told him my plan. He hadn't rented the building, and he said, he waited a day or two, and he said, I'm game. He said, I'll pay you when I make it. He says, if I don't make it, neither of us lost anything. So it started with that. It was a very successful program. The preparation of the building, sanding the floors, painting, and so on, was all while I was still in school.
And you did that work yourself?
Oh yes, all of it. And wasn't able to hire anybody.
Really?
That's for sure.
And what was the first opening like, or how did you promote it?
Well, school was still in session. It was close to the end of the year. I had contacts with the girls that did the public announcements at the school each morning. They knew it was coming. I finally told them, I said, this is a weekend we're going to open. And I said, for the first night, Friday, it's free. And they lined up real deep that night.
Really?
And it was a total success from then on. But I was 19, had my first business, and it was rolling good.
Really? And what did the community think of the bandstand?
It's a place for kids to go.
And was it safe for the kids?
Yeah, well, what I did, I got my father to handle the money. So in questioning, parents pulled up, they could see there was an adult figure there.
Yeah.
So that solved that problem.
Yeah. But that only was for the summers, correct?
Yeah, I did that for 3 summers.
3 summers. But did you do anything else in addition to that?
Yeah, it's a long, cold winter, so I got in the Venetian blind business, and then I saw a need for chain link fence business. So I basically had 3 businesses going before I was 21.
Between 19 and 21, you had 3 businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Really? So what happened? Eventually, you made a transition out of those businesses. What happened?
Vietnam came along.
Vietnam?
Yeah.
And were you drafted?
In essence, but I ended up in the Air Force.
I see. And then you served how many years in the Air Force?
4 years.
4 years. So you had to shut down or sell the 3 businesses?
An uncle took 2 of them, the other we just shut down.
Okay. And then you spent 4 years in the Air Force, and toward the end of your Air Force career, you knew that was going to end, I'm assuming. What happened then?
Well, like most GIs, you have a new car you can't afford, I couldn't afford the insurance to get it on base, so I need to get a part-time job. So I went to work and knocked on the door at McDonald's, started there.
And what city was this in?
Fort Walton Beach near Eglin Air Force Base.
So your employment was real close to the Air Force Base.
Oh yeah, I worked Air Force in the daytime, and I worked night at McDonald's.
And what did you start doing at McDonald's on your first day?
Everybody made milkshakes for a month.
You made milkshakes for a month on the night shift.
Yep.
And then after a month, what did you do at McDonald's?
Oh, I got promoted to French fries.
You were promoted to French, and how long did the French fries?
That was a month.
1 month doing French fries.
Then I went to the cooking the burgers for a month.
A month for the burgers.
And I finally got to be up at the front cash registers.
Wow. Yeah. Did you enjoy that time?
Yeah, it's a fun job.
Yeah.
Meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
You can make fun with any job, or you can make it miserable. And I found it's a whole lot easier to have fun.
So what was your total time with McDonald's?
20 years.
20 years. So you're 21 years old, you started, and you stayed for 20 years. And now, after the first less than a year, you were at the front counter. Tell me the progression, what happened after that?
Well, when I got out of the service, I went to another McDonald's, and they saw the potential in what I did and what I knew, and they put me in a manager training program.
I see.
Got promoted assistant manager, then over a period of time, the supervisor, and I just climbed the ladder as it went.
I see. And what other positions do you have? And once you're a supervisor, you're in quasi-management. So what other steps did you make?
That was 7 or 8 stores. Then you get a larger area of 15 or 20 stores. Mm-hmm. And after that, you move up to another, and you've got 2 or 3 states under you.
I see. And what types of things were you doing specifically for McDonald's during those years?
The first part of it was watching and helping with the operation of restaurants, making sure they're following procedures, standards, cleanliness, service, and so on. Mm-hmm. But as a corporate, that was my job. But after that, I got promoted to work. I got on a staff level. I got promoted to work with the licensees. And I did a similar thing with them. I monitored what they did and would help them in their franchise. Mm-hmm. Along the way, I would work new product development, equipment development and design, site location, some marketing, worked numerous jobs. There are so many jobs in McDonald's to do other than just flip hamburgers.
And ultimately, what was your last responsibility?
I was in charge of the licensees. I was vice president of franchising for all of South and Central America.
In charge of all licensing, all the franchisees in Central and South America.
Yes.
So that must have required a lot of travel as well in your life.
I was in the Million Mile Club in 3 different airlines.
Wow, good for you.
National, Eastern, I forget what the other one was.
Eastern Airlines, I remember that one, yeah.
National was out of St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
That's where they started.
Yeah. So ultimately what happened at the 20-year mark, what happened to McDonald's?
McDonald's was big and it was growing, but we also had a problem that we were top heavy with management at the top. We ended up divesting ourselves of the company airplanes. We had a number of big buses or cruisers. Staff cars were downsized to Ford Escorts, and they gave the opportunity to some people to take like an early retirement. Mm-hmm. And I chose that option.
So you opted for an early retirement after 20 years.
Yeah.
So you must have certainly felt you achieved something in those 20
Oh,
years.
yes. I was on top of the world.
So when you were at that point in your time, were you anxiety or stressed or?
No, I was on top of the world.
So you had a lot of self-confidence.
Oh, yeah.
And you had no idea, even though you didn't know what your future was, you were confident something was going to happen.
Wasn't worried in the least.
Yeah. And so
I could always go back and flip hamburgers.
or you can make milkshakes.
Well, I used to tell people when they downsize, I says, this hand holds a mop just as easy as anything else.
Yeah.
And
So here we are at the end of your RAC's career. What did you decide to do next with your life?
I knew a Burger King franchise holder that had been with McDonald's before. I had met him in Philadelphia area. And I knocked on his door and said, I need a job. He said he was looking for a supervisor. I said, I don't want that. I just want a night job. I only want to be assistant manager. I said, I'll run your restaurant right. I'll keep it clean. I'll make you profit.
Yep.
He said, you're hired.
So were you kind of in the back of your mind looking for semi-retirement at that point in time?
That basically was semi-retirement.
Semi-retirement.
Yeah.
You're doing a little bit of stuff to keep busy.
Yeah.
Did you also have a different feeling in terms of your involvement in the community?
Oh no, the involvement in the community was totally separate. I originally made a hookup with Sertoma. Guy asked me to contribute to a cause that they had to help some children get hearing aids. I didn't really have the cash to share with him. I said, well, what are you doing? They said, we're having a festival down the street and we sell hot dogs and hamburgers. I said, well, I can help you out if you want. And he says, that's more valuable than a check. And so I went down and helped him out. I've been with Sertoma ever since.
And what does Sertoma stand for?
Service to mankind.
Sertoma. But if you look at how you climb the ladder, so to speak, within McDonald's, and more responsibility, and the same with RACs, did you also climb the ladder of responsibility in Sertoma as well? And this time you're giving to the community.
Right. Well, each club has, like most clubs, president, vice president, secretaries, and treasurers. And bit by bit, I had held most of those offices. But then there was an opening for a representative, they called it a district governor, which covered a large part of Florida, which had like 40 Sertoma clubs in it. And from there, I went to a regional which covered 7 different states. It was Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, and South Carolina.
Wow.
And I there worked with each of the clubs. And I would find things going on in your club, pass it on to another club, and so on. Anything to help them make their operation smooth and help them make money. Because they all had a big cause, and with Sertoma, it was with speech and hearing.
So you really climbed up the organization and giving to the community by serving not one club, but several clubs.
Oh, yeah.
And ultimately,
I ended up in the International Board of Directors out of Kansas City.
Out of Kansas City.
So that board was basically 11 of us.
Wow.
That covered the international. Because we were in Russia and Mexico and Spain and so on. But yeah, it was exciting.
Now you said something about a camp that's in Florida, Sertoma camp in Florida.
The clubs in Florida felt a need for a camp for deaf kids. Deaf kids can't go to regular camps because they can't communicate, and the camp can communicate with them. So we set this camp up just for deaf or hard of hearing children. And we bought some property down by Haines City, and we sits on 2 lakes. I think it's 24 acres, I'm not sure the size. But we have a main building called Cafetorium, which can feed 230 people, banquet style. And theater style, we still put more in. It's used when it's inclement weather outside. Kids come inside, they can play volleyball, they have dances, watch movies. It has a full commercial kitchen. We have cabins, we have 3 of those. They hold 30 kids each, 15 girls, 15 boys, based on their age groups.
So how many kids total could the camp hold?
90 is the ultimate. We have cut back because it's very hard to control 90 at once. Yeah, the kids have never experienced other kids that are deaf, because they get isolated either at home or if they go to a special school, but they don't see other kids like themselves. So all of a sudden you're standing in line at lunch, and the kid next to you is like you. He has to sign. and he doesn't know how to get along with that. They've never been around other boys, let alone around other girls, or girls around the boys. And it's just earth-shaking to see the excitement they have when they see these other people of their kind. And they just get so excited. There's no way you can't keep them coming back next year.
Really?
And the donations that come in when they get home, if the parents find out what all they went through, is very gratifying.
Wow.
I mean, I had one guy drive totally to Inverness to bring me a check from the other side of the state because he was so happy his little boy had such a good time.
Wow. So you're also involved in the Corvette Club.
Yes.
And they recently gave you an award.
In the Corvette Club, part of what is required, you have to have a Corvette. And I had to divest myself of my Corvette. It had a lot of problems that were way beyond the expense to repair them. And I was sort of down a little bit because the Corvette Club was heavily involved in the community, giving to the vets and the first responders. Mm-hmm. Any money they make, that's where all that goes. But I always worked like everything else. I worked as hard as it comes, be it car shows or trips or dinners or parties. I would work hard with it. Well, they didn't want to see me leave, so they gave me a lifetime membership. I'm still part of the Corvette Club. I don't have a car. I'm looking for somebody to ride with. One of the activities they have is scavenger hunt. And last year they made almost $5,000 that went to a fireman's family here in the county. But everything goes to first responders or vets. And so they made me a lifetime member, and I really thought that was great.
So besides the Corvette Club, what other community contributions you're making, or what other associations are you involved in?
Well, I work for the county on the Veterans Advisory Board, and I'm also on a board that it's called a Historic Restoration Board. When some of these older buildings want to remodel, there are certain guidelines they have to follow, and I was on the board that adjudicated whether they could or couldn't. The other one was MPO, is the Metropolitan Planning Organization. This is 3 or 4 counties that deal with nothing but transportation in that county area. And I work on that board in the disadvantaged transportation section.
I see. Making
sure that the deaf have the ability to get on, the way they treat the blind, the ramps that we have. We just recently put in 20 shelters, so when they're at Walmart or somewhere waiting for the county bus to pick them up, they're sheltered as opposed to standing out in the open.
That's good. And that's all in addition to Seratoma.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. You're not forgetting Too Far.
Oh no, that's the other big one.
And you're on the board of directors for that one as well.
Yeah, I've been there, I guess, 15 years or more, I guess.
Yeah. And your current task with Too Far is, what are you working on with Too Far right now?
Basically, what I've been trying to do is keep the county and the city government up to date on what we're doing in regards to the lake restoration. Mm-hmm. I try to narrow it down to layman's talk, and I center it all around the fact that Too Far has applied for a grant and gotten it. We got $4.2 million, and this is what our plan is to do with it. But what I'm going to do, because many people get grants, you never hear anything after that. I want you, as the councilman, to be aware that what we have done step by step by step. And so when it comes time to get help from you, we also know that you're aware of what our program is.
Yeah, that's good. That's going to be beneficial to the success of this project. And you might want to explain it. What's the video about?
The video is of young children, 6 months, year and a half, who have never had the ability to hear. They've had a device of one form or another set up for them so they can. But it shows the kids when they first hear somebody talking. They've never heard their mother talk, and all of a sudden she's talking, you see their eyes pop to the left or the right, because that's mom. And the smile and the eyes that light up is just unbelievable to watch.
Yeah, it's a short video, but it's a very good and touching video. Well, I appreciate the time that you spent with us and telling us about your inspiration stories about life, and I hope that it serves as a motivation to the younger generations ahead.
That's what I hope also.
Yep.
A lot of experiences a lot of people have don't get passed on, unfortunately.
Yep.
Too many things today are book learning, and there's more to it than book learning. That's why they got the emphasis on the trades as opposed to college. People don't have those knowledges anymore.
Yep.
And if you can learn from an experienced person, whether it's a food business, dealing with nonprofits, working the trades, that's where a lot of the success in the future will come from.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Bud. I appreciate opening up and telling us your story. And now let's watch the short video that Bud has shared with us. And thanks for watching.
Hello. Hello. I never seen that face before. I love you. Can you hear me? What you doing? Hi. 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 What do you hear? Are you listening? Archer. Hi. Archer. Uh-oh. Oh, hi, Archer. Archer. Something that's I love you too. I love you. Hi, buddy. Look at those big eyes. Hi. Can you hear mommy? That's pretty cool. I'll get rid of that speed thing. I love you. Are you excited? Can you hear everything?
You certainly are an example to our younger generation, and as an example of a person starting out with very limited resources, and it's actually a positive learning experience and very high achievements along your entire career. So I hope you set it as encouragement to all of our youth today to see what can be done.
Thank you.